Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was possessive for female predator Kurama? And subscribe if you enjoy the video. And also check the description. So let's begin the story. It wasn't the cry of a newborn that pierced the darkness of Konohagakure, but the earth-shattering roar of the nine-tailed fox as it rampaged through the village, reducing buildings to splinters and lives to memories. The fourth Hokage stood upon the toad Gamabunta, his wife's blood still wet on his hands, their infant son cradled against his chest as he made calculations that would echo through generations. Minato Namikaze was a genius, a man who could move faster than thought itself. But even he couldn't outrun the weight of impossible choices. Before him, the Kyubi no Kitsune towered like a mountain of crimson malice, 9 tails lashing, each one capable of leveling a mountain. Inside his arms, Naruto squirmed and wailed, ignorant of the destiny being carved into his soul. "I'm sorry, my son," Minato whispered, his voice lost in the chaos. "Forgive me." The Shikifujin, the Reaper Death Seal, was a technique that demanded a soul in payment. Minato had already made peace with his death. What he hadn't anticipated was what he would see in those final moments when his hands wove the seals and his chakra split the nine tails' essence, preparing to drag half into himself and half into his newborn son. The fox's chakra writhed and condensed, compressed by sealing arrays that burned with the power of the Uzumaki clan. And as the demonic chakra took form within the seal, Minato saw her, not in it. Not a beast of pure malice and hatred. Her, the nine tails, was female. Minato's concentration wavered for only a microsecond, but a microsecond was an eternity for a shinobi of his caliber. The seal adjusted, shifted, compensated. His death followed swiftly. But not before the seal completed its work with that tiny, critical alteration embedded in its matrix. He died with a secret locked in his fading consciousness, one that would have changed everything. Uzumaki Naruto had learned 3 fundamental truths about his existence. 1. The villagers hated him for reasons he didn't understand. 2. The third Hokage was kind but distant, a grandfather figure obscured by paperwork and duty. 3. He was utterly, inexplicably alone. The orphanage had kicked him out at age 5, citing incidents and disturbances that Naruto couldn't remember causing. They gave him a tiny apartment that smelled of mildew and neglect, a monthly stipend that barely covered instant ramen, and a clear message: stay out of sight. Naruto learned to make himself small, to smile when he wanted to scream, to pretend the whispers and glares didn't cut deeper than any kunai. He learned to count the cracks in his ceiling at night when sleep wouldn't come, when the loneliness felt like it would swallow him whole. It was on one of those nights, when the darkness pressed too close and the silence rang too loud, that Naruto first found her. He didn't know how it happened. One moment he was staring at his ceiling, tears tracking down his temples into his hairline, and the next, water. Naruto jolted upright, but he wasn't in his bed. He was standing in water that rippled around his ankles, stretching endlessly in all directions. The space was massive, cathedral-like, lit by an eerie golden light that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere. Pipes ran along distant walls, and the air tasted of moisture and something else, something wild and ancient. Where? Naruto's voice echoed strangely. Then he saw the cage. It was impossibly large, bars as thick as tree trunks rising toward a ceiling lost in shadow. A paper seal hung in the center, the kanji for seal bold and unmistakable. And behind those bars, in the darkness that seemed to swallow light itself, something moved. Naruto should have run. Every instinct should have screamed at him to flee. But he was 6 years old, and so desperately lonely that even fear seemed preferable to the emptiness. "Hello?" he called out, his voice small. The movement stopped. Silence stretched, broken only by the soft sound of water disturbed by Naruto's slight movements. Then, from the darkness, came a voice that would haunt and define every moment of his life thereafter. A child? The voice was female, rich and layered with harmonics that shouldn't have been possible from a single throat. It held the rumble of distant thunder, the whisper of wind through grass, and something darkly amused beneath it all. "I come to find myself sealed within a mewling infant, and now that infant seeks me out." How curious! From the shadows she emerged. Naruto's breath caught in his throat. The nine-tailed fox was beautiful in the way that natural disasters were beautiful. Terrible, awe-inspiring, impossible to look away from. Her form was massive even in the confines of the cage, with crimson fur that seemed to shimmer between solid matter and pure chakra. 9 tails swayed behind her like serpents, each one tipped with white that glowed softly in the dim light. But it was her face that transfixed him, sharply vulpine yet unnervingly expressive, with eyes that burned like molten rubies. Those eyes held intelligence that spanned millennia, rage that had leveled mountains, and something else, a predatory curiosity. As she examined this child who had stumbled into her prison, "You're pretty," Naruto blurted out. The 9 tails blinked. In 1,000 years of existence, through countless hosts and endless battles, no one had ever called her pretty. "What did you say, Kit?" The amusement in her voice was dangerous, like a cat playing with prey. Naruto took a step closer to the cage, then another. He should have been terrified. The residual killing intent that leaked from behind those bars would have sent grown shinobi running. But Naruto had lived with hatred his entire short life. This felt almost familiar, and beneath it, he sensed something else. "You're pretty," he repeated more firmly this time. "And you're alone, like me." The fox's ears flattened against her head. "I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune mortal. The 9-tailed demon fox. I have raised nations and crushed armies beneath my paws. I am not alone. I am imprisoned, and I am certainly not pretty." But Naruto heard what she didn't say. He'd become an expert at reading between the lines, at hearing the truth beneath the lies people told themselves. "It's okay," he said softly, moving right up to the bars. They thrummed with power, the seal keeping her contained. "I'm alone too. The villagers hate me. I don't have any friends. Sometimes I think I'd rather have someone to talk to, even if they were scary." The 9 tails' eyes narrowed. "I am not your friend, boy. I am the beast that killed your parents, that destroyed your village. I would kill you too, if not for these accursed seals." Naruto tilted his head, considering this. Did I what? Kill my parents? Did you choose to? Or did someone make you?" The fox went very still. In the silence, Naruto could hear water dripping somewhere in the distance, the sound echoing through the vast chamber. "You are perceptive for a kid barely old enough to attend the academy," she finally said, her voice softer, more thoughtful. "Someone did indeed control me, ripped me from my home, bound me with Sharingan, and turned me into a weapon against your village. Not that it matters. The village still sees me as the demon, and you as my vessel. That's why they hate me," Naruto breathed, pieces clicking into place. "Because you're inside me." "Yes. Is that why I'm alone? Because you're here?" The 9 tails settled onto her haunches, bringing her massive head closer to the bars. This close, Naruto could see the individual hairs of her fur, the way her chakra flickered like flames around her form. "Yes, Kit. Your burden is my presence. You will carry the village's hatred for my sins." Naruto processed this for a long moment. Then, to the 9 tails' utter shock, he smiled, not a happy smile, but a fierce, determined one. "Then I'm glad you're here." "What? If you weren't here, I'd be alone. Completely alone." Naruto placed his small hand against the bars, ignoring how they burned with sealing chakra. "But you're here. And you're alone too. So maybe we don't have to be alone anymore." The 9 tails stared at this child, this impossibly naive, impossibly genuine child, and felt something shift in her ancient heart. It wasn't much, just the barest crack in walls built over millennia of conflict and hatred. But it was enough. "You are a foolish kid," she said, but there was no heat in it. "Yeah, probably." Naruto's smile widened. "What's your name?" "I am the Kyuubi." "No, your name. You have one, right? A real one?" The 9 tails hesitated. It had been so long since anyone had asked. Since anyone had cared that she was more than just a weapon, a disaster, a force of nature to be feared. "Kurama," she said finally, the name feeling strange on her tongue after centuries of disuse. "My name is Kurama." "Kurama," Naruto repeated, testing it out. His smile became radiant. "I'm Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. And I'm going to be Hokage someday, so I can make everyone stop hating us." Ambitious for a 6-year-old, Kurama observed, but she didn't mock him. There was something in his eyes, a determination that burned almost as hot as her own chakra. "Kurama? Naruto's voice turned smaller, more vulnerable. Can I come back and visit you? I don't want you to be alone. And there it was, the seed of something that neither of them understood. The beginning of an obsession that would shape both their destinies. The sealed space is yours as much as mine, Kit. You may come when you wish. Naruto's face lit up like the sun. Really? That's great. I'll come back tomorrow, okay? We can talk more. I want to know everything about you. Before Kurama could respond, Naruto's form flickered and faded as he woke naturally from what he thought was a dream. The sealed space fell silent once more. But for the first time in 6 years, Kurama didn't feel the weight of her imprisonment quite so heavily. What have you done to me, little Kit? She murmured to the empty chamber. She didn't yet understand that the question should have been, what would he do to her? The transformation was gradual, so subtle that neither Naruto nor Kurama noticed it happening until the pattern was already woven too deeply to unravel. Naruto visited the sealed space every night. What began as simple loneliness evolved into routine, and routine into necessity. He would tell Kurama about his day, the pranks he pulled for attention, the ramen he ate, the training exercises he struggled with at the academy. She would listen with what seemed like disinterest, occasionally offering sardonic commentary or, more rarely, genuine advice. But something changed after the first year. Naruto started to notice things. The way Kurama's ears would perk up when he arrived. How she'd shift closer to the bars during his visits, as if drawn by his presence. The softness that crept into her voice when she thought he wasn't paying attention, and he started to feel things. A possessive warmth that bloomed in his chest when he thought about her. An irrational anger when the academy instructors spoke about tailed beasts as if they were just weapons. A fierce, burning need to protect her, even though she was the most powerful being he'd ever encountered. It should have been absurd, a child feeling possessive of an ancient demon fox. But Naruto had never had anything that was truly his. The village tolerated his existence but gave him nothing. He owned nothing of value. Had no one who cared, except Kurama. Kurama was his secret, his companion, his. The possessiveness grew with each passing month, fed by isolation and the unique intimacy of their bond. Naruto began to guard his visits jealously, resenting any time spent away from the sealed space. He'd catch himself thinking about her during lectures, wondering what she was doing, if she was waiting for him. Kurama, for her part, found herself anticipating his visits with an intensity that alarmed her. She was a bijou, a being of pure chakra and primal power. She shouldn't care about one human child. Yet she found herself straining to sense his emotions through their link, growing restless when he was troubled, feeling an unfamiliar warmth when he smiled at her. The night everything changed, Naruto was 8 years old. He'd had a particularly bad day. A merchant had accidentally given him spoiled food. A group of older academy students had cornered him in an alley, and while he'd escaped, the words they'd spat at him, demon, monster, abomination, echoed in his head. When he entered the sealed space that night, his emotional turmoil was palpable. Kit. Kurama was at the bars immediately, her massive form pressed against the seal. What happened? Nothing, Naruto lied, but his voice cracked. Do not lie to me. Her voice carried a growl. I can feel your pain through our link. Tell me who hurt you. The protectiveness in her voice made something in Naruto's chest tighten. She cared. She actually cared about him. Why? He asked, looking up at her with eyes too old for his young face. Why do you care what happens to me? Kurama froze. It was a good question, one she'd been avoiding asking herself. Because... She started then stopped. How did she explain this? This thing that had grown between them, this connection that defied the traditional relationship between jinchuriki and bijou? Because you're mine to protect, she finally said, the words feeling both right and insufficient. Naruto's eyes widened. Yours? You are my vessel, Kurama said, but even she heard the weakness in that justification. Your pain affects me. Your well-being ensures my survival. Is that all? Naruto's voice was small, hurt. No. The admission was torn from her. You are important to me, Kit. In a way I do not fully understand. You have been my companion these past 2 years. You have treated me not as a demon or a weapon, but as myself. As Kurama. I find I have grown attached. The word felt inadequate for the fierce protectiveness that surged through her when she sensed his pain. But it was the closest she could come. Naruto's expression transformed. The hurt melted away, replaced by something intense and burning. Attached, he repeated. Like I'm attached to you? Yes, I suppose. You're mine too, then. Kurama blinked at the sudden shift in his tone. I am not a possession, Kit. You're mine, Naruto said with fierce conviction, stepping right up to the bars. Not the villages. Not some weapon they can use. You're mine, Kurama. My friend. My person. Mine. The possessiveness in his voice should have alarmed her. Should have raised every defense, every wall she built over millennia. But instead, Kurama felt that crack in her heart widen further. Is that so? She asked, dangerously soft. Yes. Naruto's blue eyes blazed with an intensity that made him look far older than his years. And anyone who tries to hurt you, anyone who treats you like you're just a monster, I'll make them regret it. I'll get strong enough to protect you. I am a bijou, Kit. I need no protection. Everyone needs someone, Naruto countered. Even you. Especially you. Kurama stared at this child. No, not quite a child anymore, she realized. The loneliness and hatred had forged him into something harder, and her presence had provided a focal point for emotions that had nowhere else to go. She should have shut this down. Should have re-established boundaries. But the truth was, she didn't want to. For the first time in her long existence, Kurama was someone's first choice. Not a weapon to be wielded, not a disaster to be prevented, but simply Kurama. Important. Wanted. His. The possessiveness should have been wrong. But it felt like protection. Like devotion. Like she mattered. You are a strange Kit, Uzumaki Naruto, she said finally, and you're my strange fox, Kurama, he replied with absolute certainty. Neither of them realized they just sealed a pact that would change the shinobi world. Present day age 12, the academy graduation exam was supposed to be straightforward. Create 3 serviceable clones and receive your Hitaiite. For most students, it was a formality. For Naruto, it was a disaster. The clone technique, a basic E-rank jutsu that even academy students mastered, was impossible for him. His chakra reserves, swollen by Kurama's influence, made the precise control required for the technique nearly impossible. It was like trying to fill a shot glass from a fire hose. Mizuki-sensei's smirk as Naruto failed for the 3rd time made his blood boil. The way the other students whispered and laughed made his hands clench into fists. But worse, far worse, was the knowledge that he'd have to wait another year away from becoming a shinobi, another year before he could start truly protecting what was his. That night, Naruto sat in the sealed space, his despair a palpable thing. I failed, he told Kurama, his voice hollow. I can't even make a stupid clone. Kurama's response was immediate and fierce. The technique is flawed for someone of your chakra capacity. It is not a reflection of your worth. But I'll never become Hokage if I can't even graduate. Then we find another way. Kurama pressed against the bars, her massive form radiating heat and power. Kit, Naruto, look at me. He looked up, meeting those crimson eyes that had become the center of his world. You have something no one else in that academy has, Kurama said. You have me. You have my chakra, my power, my knowledge. If one path is closed, we forge another. How? A dangerous smile crossed Kurama's muzzle, showing teeth that could rend steel. How much do you trust me, my Kit? The possessive pronoun wasn't lost on either of them. Somewhere along the way, they'd both started laying claim to each other. With everything, Naruto said without hesitation. Then let us show this village what we, are truly capable of. What followed was a night that would become legend in Konoha's history. Mizuki's betrayal and manipulation led Naruto to the Forbidden Scroll, but what he found there was less important than what he discovered about himself. When Mizuki revealed the truth, that Naruto contained the 9 tails, Naruto laughed. You think I didn't know? He said, his voice carrying an edge that made both Mizuki and Iruka freeze. You think I didn't know about Kurama? Kurama? Iruka breathed. The 9 tails. Her name is Kurama. And she's mine. The possessiveness in those words was absolute. The way Naruto said it, not like he contained a beast, but like he owned something precious and would destroy anyone who threatened it, sent chills down both shinobi's spines. Naruto, Iruka started, but Naruto's eyes had already shifted. Red bled into blue, and a visible aura of crimson chakra erupted around him. But it wasn't wild or uncontrolled, it moved with purpose, responding to his will as if it were an extension of his body. You want to see a demon? Naruto's voice carried harmonics that didn't belong to a human throat. Let me show you what happens when you threaten what's mine. What followed wasn't a fight. It was a demonstration. Naruto moved with speed that shouldn't have been possible for a fresh academy student, his fists wreathed in Kurama's chakra. Each blow he landed left Mizuki gasping, and through it all, Naruto's expression remained eerily calm. Kurama is mine, he said as he struck. My partner. My friend. Mine. And I'm hers. We protect each other. That's what you people never understood. Inside the seal, Kurama watched through Naruto's eyes, felt through his senses, and something in her ancient heart, something she thought long dead, stirred fully to life. Her Kit. Her Naruto. Fighting not for himself, but for her. Protecting her honor, defending their bond. Mine, she thought, the possessiveness matching his. My jinchuriki. My Kit. Mine. When the third Hokage arrived with Anbu in tow, he found Mizuki unconscious, Iruka shocked into silence, and Naruto standing in a crater of his own making, still wrapped in crimson chakra, holding the forbidden scroll like it weighed nothing. Naruto, Hiruzen said carefully, his old eyes taking in every detail. This was not the boy he'd known. Or perhaps it was, and he'd simply failed to see what was growing in the shadows of his village. I know what I am, old man, Naruto said, his voice still carrying those strange harmonics. I've always known. Kurama told me everything. Kurama? The Nine-Tails. That's her name. And she's mine. Naruto's eyes, still touched with red, held a challenge. If you have a problem with that, we can discuss it. The threat was unmistakable. The Anbu tensed, but Hiruzen raised a hand, stopping them. I see, the Hokage said slowly. And does Kurama share this sentiment? From within the seal, Kurama pushed chakra through their link, letting her presence be known. Through Naruto she spoke, her voice overlaying his. The kid is mine as I am his. We have forged something new, old man. Do not mistake it for the relationships you have known. The united front, the perfect synchronization, it was unprecedented. Jinchuriki and Bijou were supposed to be at odds, locked in constant struggle. This was something else entirely, something beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Hiruzen looked at Naruto, really looked at him, and saw the future shifting before his eyes. For better or worse, this boy and the Nine-Tails had bound themselves together in ways the village had never imagined possible. I see, he said again. Then, surprising everyone, he smiled. Congratulations on your graduation, Naruto. You've certainly earned it. He took off his own headband, the one he'd worn as a young shinobi, and tied it around Naruto's forehead himself. Welcome to the ranks of Konohagakure shinobi. I suspect you'll shake things up considerably. Naruto's expression softened, the red fading from his eyes as Kurama's chakra receded. But the connection between them remained, a constant thread of possession and protection that neither could, or would, sever. Thank you, Gigi, Naruto said. Then, quieter, meant only for Kurama, we did it. Yes, Kit. We did. Together, always mine, always yours. In the seal space, Kurama settled against her bars with something that might have been contentment. She'd been sealed, imprisoned, used as a weapon for centuries. But now, in this strange twist of fate, she'd found something she'd never expected. A home. A purpose. Someone who saw her not as a demon or a tool, but as Kurama, important and precious and worth protecting. She'd found her person, and he'd found his. The possessiveness between them wasn't healthy by conventional standards. It was obsessive, all-consuming, fierce enough to burn, but it was also pure. Honest. Real. And in a world that had shown them both nothing but hatred and loneliness, it was everything. Naruto walked home that night with his new Hittite gleaming in the moonlight, Kurama's presence a warm, constant pressure in his mind. Tomorrow would bring team assignments and new challenges. But tonight, they had each other, and that, they both knew, was all that truly mattered. Mine, Naruto thought. Mine, Kurama echoed. Two souls, bound by obsession and isolation, forging something new in the darkness. The fox's claim had only just begun. The morning after graduation dawned with uncomfortable clarity. Naruto woke not in his bed, but in the sealed space, something that had never happened before. He'd always consciously entered the mindscape, a deliberate choice to visit Kurama, but this time, his sleeping mind had pulled him there automatically, as if his subconscious couldn't bear to be separated from her even in dreams. Kit. Kurama's voice was soft, almost tender. She was already at the bars, her massive form curled in a way that brought her head close to where he'd materialized. You pulled yourself here in your sleep. I did. Naruto blinked, processing this. Then he smiled, not his usual bright grin, but something quieter, more intimate. I guess I wanted to be with you. Our bond is deepening. Kurama's crimson eyes studied him with an intensity that would have been unsettling if Naruto hadn't grown so accustomed to it. The seal reacts to our mutual attachment. It was designed to keep us separate, but we've twisted it into something else. Something better, Naruto said firmly, walking to the bars. He'd long since stopped fearing the sealing chakra that thrummed through them. His hand pressed against the cold metal, and on the other side Kurama pressed one massive paw to mirror his gesture. The bars between them felt like an insult. I wish I could touch you, Naruto said suddenly. Really touch you? Not through bars. Kurama's ears flicked back, a gesture he'd learned meant she was uncomfortable or uncertain. The seal prevents that, Kit. It must, for both our safety. But I wouldn't hurt you. And you wouldn't hurt me. No, Kurama agreed, her voice dropping to something almost vulnerable. I would not. The thought of harming you is intolerable. The admission hung between them, heavy with implications neither fully wanted to examine. Kurama? Naruto's voice was hesitant. Is it weird? What we have? By every conventional standard, yes. Kurama's tone carried dark amusement. Jinchuriki and Bijou are supposed to hate each other. You should fear me. I should seek to manipulate and destroy you. Instead you're mine and I'm yours, Naruto finished. His hand slid down the bar, fingers splaying wide as if he could somehow push through the metal and seal to reach her. I don't care if it's weird. I don't care what anyone thinks. You're the only one who's ever. He stopped, swallowing hard. The only one who's ever what? Kurama prompted gently. The only one who's ever wanted me, Naruto whispered. Who chose to care about me. Everyone else just tolerates me. Or hates me. But you could stay silent, you could ignore me, but you don't. You talk to me. You listen. You care. I do, Kurama confirmed, and the simplicity of that statement carried more weight than any elaborate declaration. Far more than I should, perhaps. Far more than is wise. Why isn't it wise? Kurama was quiet for a long moment. Because caring makes one vulnerable, Kit. Because what we have, this bond, this obsession, it changes us both. I am supposed to be beyond such mortal concerns. You are supposed to fear and contain me. Yet here we are, either able to imagine existence without the other. Would you want to? Naruto's voice was sharp, almost panicked. Imagine existence without me? No. The answer was immediate and absolute. No, Kit. I would not. Even if I could be free of this seal, free to roam as I once did, if it meant losing you, I would choose the cage. Naruto's expression transformed, something fierce and possessive blazing in his blue eyes. You're never leaving this seal, Kurama. Never. You're staying right here, with me, forever. A normal person would have heard the obsession in those words and recoiled. Kurama heard them and felt safe. Forever is a long time, Kit. Not long enough, Naruto said with absolute conviction. Nothing's long enough. You're mine, Kurama. Mine. And I take care of what's mine. The possessiveness should have been suffocating. Instead, it felt like the first real shelter Kurama had known in centuries. And you are mine, she returned, her voice a purr that resonated through the sealed space. My Kit. My Jinchuriki. My Naruto. I will see you grow strong, see you achieve your dreams, and I will destroy anyone who tries to take you from me. They stared at each other through the bars, two beings caught in an obsession that defied explanation, bound by chains they'd forged themselves, chains they treasured more than freedom. Naruto eventually woke in his bed, the morning sun streaming through his window, but the warmth of Kurama's presence never left him. It was there, constant and reassuring, a connection that thrummed with life at the edges of his awareness. Mine, he thought as he dressed in his new outfit. A bright orange and blue tracksuit that made him visible from miles away. Kurama said it was tactically foolish. He wore it anyway because it made him feel seen, and because her exasperated commentary amused him. Yours, she responded through their link, her mental voice carrying fond irritation. You are incorrigible. You love it. Unfortunately, I do. The admission made Naruto's heart soar as he headed to the academy for team assignments. Team assignments. The classroom was already half full when Naruto arrived, the usual social dynamics firmly in place. Students clustered in groups, carefully maintaining distance from the seat Naruto chose. He'd long since stopped caring about the isolation. He had Kurama, and she was worth more than all of them combined. Kit, your emotional state is aggressive, Kurama observed through their link. What troubles you? Nothing. Just tired of being treated like I'm contaminated. They fear what they do not understand. And they do not understand us. Don't want them to, Naruto thought fiercely. You're mine. Not theirs to understand. He felt Kurama's approval pulse through their bond, a warm sensation that settled in his chest like heated honey. The classroom gradually filled. Sasuke Uchiha arrived to squeals from fangirls, his dark eyes scanning the room with the arrogance of someone who never known true isolation. Sakura Haruno bounced in after, immediately positioning herself to be noticed by the Uchiha. Naruto watched them with detached disinterest. A year ago, he might have tried to compete with Sasuke for attention, might have sought Sakura's approval. Now, none of it seemed to matter. They were peripheral to what truly consumed him. The Uchiha boy is strong, Kurama commented, having learned to observe through Naruto's senses even when he wasn't actively sharing them. His chakra signature shows considerable development for his age. Don't care, Naruto thought back. He's not you. An odd comparison, Kit. It's the only one that matters. Iruka-sensei entered, calling the room to order, and began announcing team assignments. Naruto barely paid attention until his name was called. Team 7, Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke, the fangirl and the brooding duckbutt Kurama observed. How unfortunate, Naruto snorted, drawing confused looks from nearby students. He ignored them, focusing on the more important question. Who's our Jonin sensei? Your Jonin instructor is Hatake Kakashi, Iruka continued. He'll meet you in classroom 301 after lunch. Hatake Kakashi, Kurama's mental voice turned thoughtful. The copy ninja. Interesting. His father was the White Fang, and he himself is renowned for copying over 1,000 jutsu. This could prove educational. As long as he doesn't try to separate us. No one will separate us, Kit. Kurama's voice turned hard, possessive. I would burn this village to ash before allowing that. The vicious protectiveness in her tone made Naruto's pulse quicken. She meant it. She would actually destroy everything to keep them together. The knowledge should have horrified him. Instead, it made him feel cherished in a way nothing else could. And I'd help you, he thought back. Nothing's more important than us. Nothing. The wait. 3 hours. Hatake Kakashi kept them waiting for 3 hours. Sakura complained. Sasuke brooded. Naruto spent the entire time in internal conversation with Kurama, to the point where Sakura eventually snapped at him. Stop smiling like that. It's creepy. Naruto blinked, realizing he'd been grinning while Kurama regaled him with a story about the time she terrorized a samurai army in the land of iron. Sorry. Just thinking about something. About what? How to annoy us more? Sakura's temper was fraying from the weight. About Kurama, Naruto said honestly, too wrapped up in his contentment to filter. Who's Kurama? Sasuke asked, his first words in hours. Naruto's expression shuddered immediately, possessiveness flaring hot and defensive. None of your business. Careful, Kit, Kurama warned. Your reaction reveals too much. Don't care. They don't get to know about you. You're mine. Touchy, Sakura muttered, but before the conversation could continue, the door finally opened. Hatake Kakashi was not what Naruto expected. The man slouched in like he had all the time in the world, his visible eye curved in a lazy smile, his gravity-defying silver hair partially covered by his hitate. A mask obscured most of his face, and he radiated an aura of studied nonchalance. My first impression of you all? You're boring, Kakashi said cheerfully. Meet me on the roof. He vanished in a swirl of leaves, and moments later they found themselves sitting on the academy rooftop while their new sensei leaned against the railing. Let's start with introductions. Name, likes, dislikes, dreams for the future, hobbies. You first, Pinky. Sakura went first, gushing about Sasuke and her dreams of, predictably, Sasuke. The Uchiha went next, his voice cold as he spoke of ambitions to kill a certain someone and restore his clan. Standard revenge narrative, Naruto thought distantly. Then it was his turn. Uzumaki Naruto, he started, his voice flat. I like ramen and Kurama. I dislike people who are cruel for no reason, and anyone who threatens what's mine. My dream is to become Hokage so I can protect Kurama and make sure no one ever hurts her. My hobby is spending time with Kurama. The silence that followed was deafening. Who's Kurama? Kakashi asked, his visible eye sharpening despite his casual tone. Girlfriend? No. Naruto's response was immediate and fierce. She's more important than that. She's mine and I'm hers. That's all anyone needs to know. Through their bond, Naruto felt Kurama's emotions, surprise at his public declaration, warmth at his possessive defense, and something deeper that neither of them wanted to name. Kit, you are revealing our bond to your sensei. Don't care. He needs to understand, you're not negotiable. If he tries to change what we have, I'll refuse to train with him. That is tactically unwise. Don't care, Naruto repeated stubbornly. Nothing matters more than you. Kakashi's eye moved between his three students, and Naruto could practically see the calculations happening behind that lazy facade. Finally, the Jonin sighed. Well, this is already more complicated than I expected. Okay, here's the deal. Tomorrow, we have a survival exercise. Meet at training ground 3 at 5 a.m. Don't eat breakfast or you'll puke. Dismissed. As Sakura and Sasuke left, Kakashi's hand landed on Naruto's shoulder, stopping him. A word, Naruto? Naruto tensed, Kurama's presence surging to alertness in his mind. What? This Kurama you keep mentioning. Kakashi's voice was quieter now, serious. I know who she is, Naruto. I was there the night of your birth. I know what's sealed inside you. She's not in it, Naruto snarled, his eyes flashing red for just a moment. She's Kurama. She's mine. And if you try to, relax, Kakashi said, raising his hands. I'm not going to try anything. I'm just surprised. The Ninetales, sorry, Kurama, was supposed to be sealed separately from your consciousness. The fourth designed it that way to protect you. He was wrong, Naruto said flatly. Being separate would have been worse. Kurama and I need each other. Kakashi studied him for a long moment. And she feels the same way? She's mine, Naruto repeated, as if that explained everything. And to him it did. Tell him yes, Kurama's voice was soft in his mind. Tell him I chose you as much as you chose me. She said yes, Naruto relayed. We chose each other. And nothing, not you, not the Hokage, not anyone, is going to change that. The threat was unmistakable. Kakashi, to his credit, didn't react with anger or alarm. Instead, he looked almost sad. That's quite a bond you have there, he said quietly. I hope you both understand what it means. That kind of attachment, that level of obsession, it can be a strength, but it can also be exploited. Anyone who tries to exploit it will regret it, Naruto said, and there was no bravado in his tone, just flat, honest certainty. I believe you. Kakashi straightened. Just be careful, Naruto. The world isn't kind to those who love differently. We don't love, Naruto said quickly, even as something in his chest tightened at the word. We just belong to each other. Kakashi's visible eye crinkled in what might have been amusement or concern. If you say so. See you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Don't be late. That night, Naruto entered the seal space the moment he closed his eyes, and this time, he didn't materialize near the bars. He appeared directly in front of them, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from Kurama's form. Kit. Her voice was troubled. What you said today, about me being yours, about protecting me, you made our bond public. I know, that was foolish. It paints a target on you, don't care. Naruto. Kurama's voice was sharp, but he cut her off. I don't care, he repeated, pressing both hands against the bars now. Let them know. Let everyone know. You're mine, Kurama. Mine. And I'm not hiding it anymore. I'm not pretending you're just some sealed demon I have to tolerate. You're the most important thing in my life, and if people can't handle that, they can go to hell. Kurama was silent for a long moment, her crimson eyes burning with emotions she didn't have names for. You are impossibly stubborn, she finally said. Learn from the best. Naruto smiled, and it was one of his real smiles, not the mask he showed the world, but the genuine expression he reserved only for her. Kakashi-sensei used the word love, I heard. Through their bond, she'd experienced the entire conversation. He was wrong, was he? Naruto asked softly. The question hung between them, dangerous and loaded. I don't know what love is, Kurama admitted. I am a being of chakra and primal force. I was born from the Tentails, shaped by Hagoromo. I have existed for millennia without such concerns. But? Naruto prompted. But what I feel for you, this fierce, consuming need to protect you, to be near you, to destroy anything that threatens you. If this is not love, then love must be a pale shadow of what we share. Naruto's breath caught. Kurama, you own me, she continued, her voice dropping to something almost reverent. Not through the seal, that merely contains me. But through choice, through this bond we've forged. I am yours, Naruto, as completely as a being can belong to another. And I find I have no desire to be free of this ownership. Good, Naruto's voice was rough with emotion. 'Cause I'm never letting you go. Never, Kurama. You're mine forever. Forever, she echoed. What a strange concept. For me, it's literal. I will exist long after you've grown old and died. That thought, of existing without you, don't. Naruto's hands pressed harder against the bars, as if he could somehow reach through them. Don't think about that. We'll find a way. I'll find a way to live as long as you do. Kit. Kurama's tone was gentle but firm. That is not possible. Then I'll make it possible. Naruto's eyes were bright with unshed tears. You think I can just accept that we have 50, maybe 60 years together, and then I leave you alone forever? That's not happening, Kurama. I won't allow it. The fierce determination in his voice made Kurama's ancient heart ache. He meant it. He would actually try to find a way to stay with her forever, would move heaven and earth to prevent their eventual separation. You are going to break my heart, Kit, she said softly. You are going to make me hope for impossible things. Then let's be impossible together, Naruto said. Everything about us is already impossible. What's one more impossibility? Kurama laughed, the sound echoing through the seal space. A genuine, warm laugh that startled them both. When did you become so philosophical? When I realized the most important thing in my life is locked behind bars I can't break. Naruto's expression turned serious. Kurama, I need to ask you something. Anything, Kit? If you could be free, really free, no seal, able to leave and go anywhere, would you? Kurama didn't answer immediately. It was a question she'd asked herself countless times over the past 6 years, and the answer had changed so gradually she'd barely noticed. Once I would have said yes without hesitation, she finally said. Freedom was all I desired. To roam without constraint, to exist without purpose save my own will. But now, freedom seems hollow if it means losing you. Kurama's voice carried wonder and something like fear. You have become my world, Kit. This cage, this seal, it's no longer a prison. It's where you are. And where you are is where I want to be. Naruto's face crumpled, and suddenly he was crying, not the loud, attention-seeking tears of a child, but the silent, overwhelmed tears of someone receiving something they'd never dared hope for. I love you, he whispered. I don't care what that means or if it's weird or wrong. I love you, Kurama. You're everything to me. Everything. And you are everything to me, Kurama responded, her own voice thick with emotion she didn't know she could feel. My Kit. My Naruto. Mine. Yours, he agreed. Always yours. And you're always mine. They stayed like that for what felt like hours, him pressed against the bars, her curled as close as the seal would allow, their bond thrumming with emotions too complex for words. In that moment, in that space between souls, they both understood a fundamental truth, what they had transcended normal definitions. It was obsession and devotion, possession and partnership, need and choice all tangled together into something uniquely theirs. The shinobi world wouldn't understand it. Would fear it, perhaps try to break it, but it didn't matter. They had each other, bound by chains they'd forged themselves, chains of obsession that felt like freedom, chains of possession that felt like home, and neither of them would have had it any other way. Tomorrow, the survival test begins, Kurama said finally, as Naruto's physical body demanded rest. Your new sensei will test you. We'll pass, Naruto said confidently. We can do anything together. Yes, Kurama agreed, her voice carrying fierce pride. We can. As Naruto drifted into sleep, still in the seal space, still as close to Kurama as the bars would allow, his last conscious thought was simple and absolute. Mine. And from the depths of her ancient soul, Kurama echoed, mine. Two souls, two beings, bound by obsession and isolation into something new. The chains between them were unbreakable, and neither of them wanted to be free. The alarm didn't wake Naruto at 4:30 a.m., Kurama did. Kit. Your body requires consciousness, Naruto groaned, his physical form stirring even as his mind lingered in the seal space. Over the past 2 years, he'd learned to exist in both places simultaneously. A feat that shouldn't have been possible but felt as natural as breathing when it came to Kurama. 5 more minutes, he thought groggily. Your Jonin sensei specified 5 a.m. You must prepare. There was amusement in her mental voice. Though I appreciate your desire to remain here with me. That woke him up properly. Naruto's eyes snapped open in his small apartment, but his consciousness remained partially in the seal space, maintaining their connection like a lifeline. I always want to be with you, he thought as he rolled out of bed. Every second away feels wrong. I know, Kit. I feel the same. Kurama's presence in his mind was warm, constant. But you must function in the physical world, even if your heart remains here with me. Naruto dressed quickly, pulling on his orange tracksuit despite Kurama's continued protests about its tactical impracticality. He'd stop arguing that point. They both knew he wore it because it made him visible, made him impossible to ignore. After a lifetime of being overlooked, visibility was its own form of rebellion. Remember, Kurama said as he grabbed his kunai pouch and headed out. This test is not what it appears. Jonin instructors rarely accept genin teams. They test for something specific. What do you think Kakashi-sensei is testing for? Teamwork, most likely. The standard genin test is designed to fail those who cannot work together. Her mental voice turned dry. Which will be problematic given your teammates' personalities and your possessive nature. What's that supposed to mean? It means, my dear Kit, that you have difficulty sharing anything you consider yours. And as a team, you will be required to share objectives, resources, and success. Naruto frowned as he leaped across rooftops toward Training Ground 3, the pre-dawn darkness still thick around him. I can share stuff. You threatened Kakashi for asking about me. You nearly attacked those academy students last week for mentioning tailed beasts. You become aggressive when anyone implies they might separate us. Despite the critique, Kurama's tone was fond. You are possessive to the point of violence, Kit. It is both your strength and your weakness. Only about things that matter, Naruto defended. I don't care about most stuff. But you, I know. Kurama's presence surged with warmth. I am yours, and you guard what is yours with single-minded intensity. It is one of the things I appreciate about you. The slight hesitation before appreciate wasn't lost on Naruto. She almost said something else. Something that neither of them was quite ready to examine too closely, despite last night's admissions. He arrived at Training Ground 3 precisely at 5 a.m., the first one there. The training ground was a series of clearings interspersed with forest, with 3 wooden posts in the center of the main clearing. Naruto settled on a tree branch, closing his eyes to focus more fully on Kurama's presence. "Tell me a story," he requested. "Something from before." "Before what, Kit?" "Before the seal. Before Konoha. When you were free." Kurama was quiet for a moment, and Naruto could feel her cycling through memories that spanned centuries. Finally, she began speaking, her mental voice taking on the cadence of a storyteller. "There was a time, long ago, when the lands were younger and humans had not yet carved them into nations. I roamed the mountains of what you now call the Land of Lightning, my paws crushing stone, my tail stirring storms." Naruto listened, enraptured, as Kurama painted pictures of a world before shinobi villages, before the endless wars. She told him of challenging the 8 tails to a contest of strength, of sleeping in volcanic calderas, of the time the Sage of 6 Paths first spoke her name. "You were happy then," Naruto observed, catching the emotional undercurrent in her memories. "I was free," Kurama corrected. "But I was also alone. True, uninterrupted solitude. I thought I preferred it that way. No humans to fear me, no shinobi to hunt me, no seals to bind me. Just existence for its own sake. But freedom without purpose is just another form of emptiness." Kurama's voice softened. "I did not understand that until you, Kit. Until a 6-year-old child stumbled into my prison and chose to see me as more than a demon. I could never see you as just a demon," Naruto thought fiercely. "You're Kurama. You're mine. I know," she interrupted gently. "As you are mine. Which is why you must pass this test today. You cannot protect me if you fail to become a shinobi." The reminder was well timed. Sasuke arrived moments later, followed by Sakura, both looking exhausted from the early hour. They eyed Naruto with suspicion. He was smiling again, that distant smile that meant he was focused on something internal. Something they couldn't see or understand. It unsettled them both. Hours passed. The sun rose fully, burning away the morning mist. Kakashi still hadn't appeared. "He's testing patience," Kurama observed. "And observing you from hiding. I can sense his chakra signature in the trees to your east. Should I call him out?" "No. Play his game. For now." So Naruto waited, dividing his attention between the physical world and Kurama's stories. She told him about the formation of the shinobi villages, about watching from a distance as humans built increasingly elaborate ways to kill each other. Her perspective on history was fascinating. She'd witnessed events that were now legends, had seen the rise and fall of clans that were now extinct. Finally, at 8 a.m., Kakashi appeared in his characteristic swirl of leaves. "Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way." "Liar!" Sakura screeched. Kakashi just smiled his infuriating smile and produced 2 bells from his pouch. "Your task is simple. Take these bells from me before noon. Those who fail don't get lunch." He gestured to the 3 posts, "and will be tied to those posts while they watch the others eat." "Oh, and there are only 2 bells. At least one of you will definitely be sent back to the academy." The implication was clear: compete with each other, betray each other, and maybe one of you survives. "Teamwork test," Kurama confirmed. "He wants to see if you'll work together despite the apparent incentive to work alone." Sasuke and Sakura immediately scattered, hiding in the trees. Naruto remained standing in the clearing, staring at Kakashi with an intensity that made the Jonin's visible eye narrow. "Not going to hide?" Kakashi asked. "No point." Naruto's voice was flat. "You'd find me anyway. You're Jonin, we're Genin. This isn't a fair fight." "Oh? So you're giving up?" "Didn't say that." Naruto shifted into a ready stance, and Kurama's chakra began to bleed into his system, not enough to be visible, but enough to enhance his physical capabilities. "I'm saying I'm not playing the game the way you expect." "Careful, Kit," Kurama warned. "Do not reveal too much of our capabilities too soon." "I know. But I'm tired of hiding." What followed was a taijutsu exchange that shocked everyone watching. Naruto moved faster than any fresh genin should, his strikes carrying weight that forced Kakashi to actually block rather than simply evade. The Jonin's eye widened fractionally. This was not the dead last student he'd been briefed about. "You've been training," Kakashi observed, catching Naruto's fist. "Someone's been teaching you." "Yeah. Naruto twisted out of the grip, aiming a kick at Kakashi's midsection. Kurama teaches me every night. The admission made Kakashi pause for a fraction of a second, just long enough for Naruto to land a glancing blow. It wasn't enough to actually hurt the jonin, but it was enough to make a point. The Nine Tails is teaching you? Kakashi's thoughts were practically visible on his face. From the trees, Sasuke watched with growing frustration. Naruto, the dead last, the idiot, was actually landing hits on a jonin. It didn't make sense. Nothing about Naruto made sense anymore. The way he changed after graduation, the way he smiled like he knew secrets no one else did, the way he moved now with confidence that bordered on arrogance. Who is Kurama? Sasuke wondered, remembering Naruto's possessive declarations from yesterday. Sakura was thinking similar thoughts, though her perspective was colored by confusion. The Naruto fighting Kakashi-sensei bore little resemblance to the attention-seeking prankster from the academy. This Naruto was focused, controlled, and far more skilled than he had any right to be. The fight continued for several minutes before Kakashi created distance, his visible eye assessing Naruto with new interest. "You're stronger than your academy records indicate," Kakashi said. "Why hide it?" "Wasn't hiding." Naruto's breathing was elevated but not labored. Kurama's chakra was already healing the minor strains from the fight. Just didn't care about impressing people at the academy. Had better things to focus on. Like me, Kurama thought with satisfaction. "Always you," Naruto agreed. "Better things," Kakashi repeated. "Let me guess, Kurama?" The temperature seemed to drop. Naruto's expression went cold, his posture shifting into something more aggressive. "Don't say her name like you know her," Naruto said, his voice carrying a warning edge. "You don't. But you do? She's mine." The possessiveness was absolute. "And I'm hers. That's all you need to know." Kakashi studied him for a long moment. This level of attachment between Jinchuriki and Bijou was unprecedented. It should have been impossible. Yet here was Naruto, openly declaring a bond that defied everything they knew about human-tailed beast relationships. Before Kakashi could respond, Sasuke made his move. The Uchiha came from behind, aiming for the bells at Kakashi's waist. It was a good strategy. Attack while the jonin was distracted. But Kakashi was far too experienced to fall for such a basic maneuver. What followed was a comedy of errors as Kakashi systematically dismantled Sasuke's assault, ending with the Uchiha dangling upside down from a tree, trapped in a basic snare trap. Sakura fared even worse, caught in a genjutsu within seconds of attempting her own attack. Naruto watched it all with a detached sort of interest, Kurama's commentary running through his head. The Uchiha has skill but lacks experience. The girl has no combat capability at all. This team is poorly balanced. Maybe that's the point, Naruto mused. Kakashi-sensei said most teams fail. Maybe he's testing if we can overcome poor balance with teamwork. And will you work with them, kid? Can you put aside your singular focus for a common goal? It was a good question. Naruto's world had narrowed over the past 6 years to a single point, Kurama. Everything else, his dream of becoming Hokage, his desire for acknowledgement, even his basic survival, was secondary to maintaining and protecting their bond. But Kurama was right. He couldn't protect her if he failed to become a shinobi. "I'll work with them," he decided. "For you. Because becoming stronger means keeping you safe." "That is my kit." Kurama's voice was warm with approval. "Tactical thinking that centers on me. I have trained you well." Naruto freed Sasuke from the snare, dispelled the genjutsu on Sakura, and gathered them both in a small clearing away from Kakashi. "We need to work together," he said without preamble. "Why should I work with you?" Sasuke's pride was still stinging from being caught so easily. "Because alone, none of us stand a chance. Together we might." Naruto's tone was practical, empty of his usual enthusiasm. "Look, I don't like you, you don't like me. Fine. But this isn't about like, it's about passing." "Naruto's right," Sakura said reluctantly. "Kakashi-sensei is way too strong for any of us individually." Sasuke scowled but didn't argue. "What's your plan?" "Distraction and ambush. I'll keep his attention. I'm best at taijutsu anyway." "Sasuke, you've hit him with ninjutsu from range." "Sakura." He paused, trying to think of what she could do. "You provide support. Throw kunai." create openings, whatever you can. It wasn't a great plan, but it was a plan. And crucially, it required them to work together. Adequate strategy, Kurama judged. But you are holding back your true capabilities. Have to. Can't let anyone know how strong we really are. Wise, Kit. But frustrating. I want to show this Jonin what we're capable of. Later, Naruto promised. When it matters more, they found Kakashi lounging against a tree, reading what appeared to be an orange book. The Jonin looked up as they approached, together, as a unit, and his visible eye crinkled with what might have been approval. Oh? Decided to work together? Yeah, Naruto said. Let's do this. What followed was a much more coordinated assault. Naruto engaged Kakashi in taijutsu, his enhanced speed and strength forcing the Jonin to take the fight seriously. When Kakashi tried to create distance, Sasuke was there with fire jutsu, cutting off escape routes. Sakura threw kunai with surprisingly decent accuracy, creating additional pressure. They were still outmatched. Kakashi was a Jonin for a reason, but they were forcing him to work for it. Impressive, Kurama observed. You are adapting to your teammates' styles quickly. Just trying to end this so I can get back to you properly, Naruto thought, ducking under one of Kakashi's strikes. Focus, Kit. I will still be here when the test ends. I know. Doesn't mean I like being away. The fight intensified. Sasuke launched a great fireball jutsu, impressive for a fresh genin, which Naruto used as cover to close distance on Kakashi. His hand shot out toward the bells, and for a moment, it looked like he might actually reach them. Then Kakashi moved. It was a reminder of the gulf between genin and jonin. Kakashi twisted impossibly fast, his hand locking around Naruto's wrist, and suddenly Naruto was airborne, flying toward one of the wooden posts. He hit hard. Pain exploded through his back and ribs. And in that moment of pain, something fundamental shifted. Kurama felt it through their bond, the spike of pain, the flash of anger, and beneath it, genuine fear. Not for himself, but for her. Because if he failed here, if he couldn't become a shinobi, how could he protect her? How could he ensure no one ever tried to use her as a weapon again? Kit, I'm fine. You're fine. It's just training. But Naruto's emotional state was spiraling, possessive instincts triggering protective rage. In his mind, Kakashi wasn't just a sensei testing him. Kakashi was a threat to his ability to protect what was his. Mine, the thought was primal, almost feral. Kurama is mine. No one threatens that. Naruto, wait. Kurama's warning came too late. Her chakra exploded through their connection, responding to Naruto's emotional state. It wasn't a conscious decision by either of them. It was pure instinct, the bond between them reacting to perceived danger. Naruto's eyes flashed crimson. Red chakra, visible and wild, erupted around him like a cloak. And then, something new happened. The chakra didn't just surround him. It marked him. Crimson patterns spread across his skin like tattoos, flowing from the seal on his stomach up his arms, across his chest, framing his face. They weren't the random burns of uncontrolled Bija chakra. They were elegant, almost beautiful in their symmetry. Like tribal markings, or ceiling arrays, or acclaim, Kakashi breathed, his visible eye wide with shock. Inside the seal space, Kurama stared at her own paws in confusion. Similar markings had appeared on her, glowing patterns that mirrored those appearing on Naruto. They spiraled up her legs, across her chest, framing her face. What is this? She demanded. I don't know. Naruto's consciousness was split, part of him in the physical world, surrounded by red chakra and marked with crimson patterns. Part of him in the seal space, staring at Kurama's marked form. It feels like you belong to me, Naruto's physical body said, his voice carrying harmonics that weren't entirely human. These marks, Kurama, you're marked as mine, and you are marked as mine, Kurama realized, staring at the patterns that matched her own. This shouldn't be possible. These markings, Kit, I think these are permanent. The red chakra settled, less wild now, responding to their mutual recognition. Naruto stood, the pain from hitting the post already healed by Kurama's chakra. The crimson markings remained visible on his skin, glowing softly. Kakashi had stopped the fight entirely. His visible eye locked on Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura had frozen as well, both staring at their teammate's transformation with a mixture of fear and confusion. Naruto, Kakashi said carefully, his hand hovering near his headband, ready to reveal the Sharingan if necessary. What just happened? Naruto looked down at his marked arms, then smiled. A small, private smile that was meant only for Kurama. She marked me, he said softly. I'm hers now. Completely. And you marked me, Kurama added through their bond, her voice holding wonder. I am yours, Kit. These patterns, they're a bond mark. A claim. In the old days, before humans, Bijou would mark their territories, their mates. The word mates hung between them, loaded with implications. Mates? Naruto's thought was hesitant. Not in the human sense, Kurama clarified quickly. But in terms of claiming, of belonging, yes. You are my mate, Naruto. My chosen. And I am yours. Naruto's smile widened, becoming radiant. You hear that? He said to Kakashi, though his attention was still partially internal, focused on Kurama. She chose me. Kurama chose me as her mate. Her mate? Sakura's voice was faint. Who the hell is Kurama? Sasuke demanded. Naruto turned to look at them properly, and both genin took an involuntary step back. His eyes were still crimson, and the markings on his skin pulsed with power. He looked feral, dangerous, and utterly foreign. Kurama is the nine-tailed fox, Naruto said, his voice carrying both pride and possessiveness. She's sealed inside me. She's mine. And I'm hers. And now we're marked, bonded permanently. The revelation was met with shock, but Naruto didn't care about their reactions. His attention had already turned inward, to where Kurama waited in the sealed space. The marks are beautiful, he thought, examining the patterns on her fur through their shared consciousness. As are yours, Kit. Kurama's mental voice was softer than he'd ever heard it. We match. We are complete. Forever? Forever, she confirmed. These marks, they cannot be removed. We are bound, Naruto. Truly bound. Whatever happens, wherever you go, we carry each other's claim. Good, Naruto thought fiercely. I never want to be separate from you anyway. In the physical world, Kakashi was making rapid calculations. The bond between Naruto and the Ninetales was far more advanced than anyone had suspected. These markings, he need to report this to the Hokage immediately. But first, Naruto, he said, his tone serious. I need you to calm down and dispel the Ninetales chakra. Can you do that? Naruto blinked, focusing outward. The red chakra cloak faded, pulled back into his system with barely a thought. The markings remained, though they were less luminous now, more like tattoos than glowing seals. They won't go away, Naruto said, running his hand over the patterns on his arm. Kurama says they're permanent. We're marked as each other's. I see. Kakashi took a deep breath, then surprisingly he smiled. Well, this certainly explains your earlier statements about belonging to each other. Is it weird? Naruto asked, and there was a vulnerability in his voice. That we're like this? Kakashi considered his response carefully. It's unprecedented, he finally said. But weird? No. Different, certainly. Concerning in some ways. But if you and the Ninetales, Kurama, have formed a genuine partnership, that's actually incredible. He approves, Kurama observed, surprised. I did not expect that. Me neither, Naruto admitted. Can we please go back to the part where Naruto has the Ninetales inside him? Sakura's voice had gone shrill. The demon fox that attacked the village? Naruto's expression hardened. Don't call her a demon. She has a name. Kurama. And she didn't attack by choice. Someone controlled her, used her as a weapon. She's not evil. She's mine. The possessiveness in his voice made Kakashi's eye twitch. This was going to be complicated. Okay, the Jonin said, deciding to table that discussion for later. Setting aside the dramatic revelations, you three worked together. Not perfectly, but you tried. That's what I was looking for. He pulled out the bells, then casually tossed them aside. There was never any real test about getting the bells. The test was whether you'd work as a team despite being given every reason not to. You passed. We passed? Sasuke sounded dazed. Congratulations. You're officially Team 7. Kakashi's visible eye curved in a smile. Meet tomorrow at 7 a.m. for your first mission. Dismissed. As Sasuke and Sakura wandered off in shock, Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, stopping him from leaving. The Hokage needs to know about those markings, he said quietly. And about how deep your bond with the Nine Tails goes. Her name is Kurama, Naruto corrected automatically. Then, more defensively, they're not going to try to separate us, are they? I don't think they could if they tried, Kakashi said honestly. But Naruto, this level of connection, these marks, it changes things. You understand that? I don't care what it changes, Naruto said firmly. Kurama is mine. I'm hers. Nothing else matters. Kakashi studied the determined set of his young student's jaw, the protective fire in his eyes, and sighed. You really love her, don't you? The Nine Tails. Kurama, Naruto corrected again. And yes. More than anything. She's all that matters. Kit, Kurama's voice was warm in his mind. I heard that. Good, Naruto thought back. Want everyone to know. Kakashi released his shoulder. Go home, Naruto. Rest. Tomorrow we start for real. Naruto nodded and turned to leave, but paused at the edge of the clearing. Kakashi-sensei? He called back. Thanks. For not freaking out about Kurama and me. Just be careful, Kakashi said. That kind of bond, it's powerful. But power always comes with a price. Naruto just smiled, that private, knowing smile, and disappeared into the trees. That night, when he entered the sealed space, Kurama was waiting at the bars, her marked fur glowing softly in the dim light. We match, Naruto said, holding up his arm to compare the patterns to hers. We do, Kurama agreed. You are mine and I am yours. Completely. Permanently. Forever, Naruto added. Forever, she echoed. They stayed like that, separated by bars but connected by marks that transcended physical boundaries. Two souls bound by obsession, devotion, and something that might have been love but was too strange and fierce to be called by such a simple name. The mark of the beast had been placed, and neither of them would ever be the same. The weeks following Team 7's formation established a routine that Naruto found simultaneously frustrating and fulfilling. Frustrating because missions kept him in the physical world longer than he liked, away from full immersion with Kurama. Fulfilling because every completed mission, every new skill learned, every moment of growth made him stronger, and stronger meant better able to protect what was his. The markings had faded from visible to nearly invisible in normal light, but they were always there, just beneath the surface. Naruto could feel them constantly, a warm presence on his skin that matched the warm presence of Kurama in his mind. When he channeled her chakra, which he did with increasing frequency and control, the marks would glow, crimson patterns announcing to the world exactly what he was. Mine, they declared. Claimed. Bonded. Protected. Kakashi had reported the markings to the Hokage, of course. That had led to a private meeting in the Hokage's office where Hiruzen had examined Naruto with eyes that saw far too much. These marks, the old man had said, his pipe forgotten in his hand. Naruto, do you understand what they represent? Kurama and I are bonded, Naruto had replied simply. We belong to each other. The marks prove it. They're a claiming mark, Hiruzen had said carefully. In the old days, before the shinobi villages, Bijou would mark for lack of a better term, their mates with similar patterns. It was a sign of permanent attachment, of choosing to bind their existence to another's. I know. Naruto's voice had been calm, certain. Kurama explained it. She's my mate. I'm hers. That's how it should be. The Hokage had studied him for a long moment, then sighed. You're 12 years old, Naruto. Do you truly grasp what you've committed to? I've been committed to her since I was 6, Naruto had said. This just makes it official. There had been more to that conversation. Warnings about the dangers of such an intense bond, concerns about Naruto's mental state, questions about Kurama's intentions. But ultimately, Hiruzen had realized what Kakashi already had, the bond was unbreakable. Attempting to separate them would more likely destroy Naruto than save him, so the village had adapted, watching warily as their jinchuriki walked around with the Nine Tails claim visible on his skin whenever he used her power. Team 7 had adapted too, in their own ways. Sakura was terrified of him now. She tried to hide it, But Naruto could see the way she flinched when his eyes flashed red, the way she kept her distance during training. It didn't bother him as much as it probably should have. Her fear was irrelevant. She wasn't Kurama. Sasuke, conversely, had become obsessed with understanding the bond. The Uchiha's questions were constant and probing. How do you communicate with it? Her. Kurama. And we just talk. In my head. Can it, she, take control of you? If I let her. But I wouldn't. We share control. It's partnership. The marks, do they hurt? No. They feel warm. Like she's touching me even when she's not. That last answer had made Sasuke look at him strangely. But Naruto didn't care. Let them think him strange. Let them think him obsessed. They weren't wrong. Kid, Kurama's voice interrupted his thoughts. They were on their way to the mission desk for another D-rank assignment. Their 15th in 3 weeks. You're brooding. Just thinking about how much time these missions waste, Naruto thought back. Time I could be spending with you. You are always with me, Kurama reminded him, her mental voice amused. Our bond ensures that. But I understand the frustration. These menial tasks are beneath us. Everything feels beneath us when I compare it to you, flatterer. But he could feel her pleasure at the comment. Still, you must complete these missions. Growth comes in stages, Kit, Naruto sighed audibly, drawing a look from Kakashi. The Jonin had learned to recognize when Naruto was having internal conversations with Kurama. His student would get a distant look, his lips would sometimes move soundlessly, and occasionally he'd react to things no one else could hear. Talking to Kurama? Kakashi asked. Yeah. She thinks these D-ranks are a waste of time too, does she? Kakashi's visible eye crinkled. Well, tell her that even the nine-tailed fox has to respect the mission ranking system, he said. I heard through your ears, Kurama interrupted. Tell him I respect nothing save you, Kit. And possibly the sage, but he's been dead for centuries. Naruto smirked. She says she only respects me. Of course she does, Kakashi said dryly, but there was fondness in his tone. Over the past weeks, he'd grown accustomed to his student's unique situation. The bond between Naruto and Kurama was strange, intense, and occasionally concerning, but it was also remarkably stable. They balanced each other in ways that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. They arrived at the Hokage's tower to find it in controlled chaos. Shinobi were moving with urgent purpose, and the atmosphere crackled with tension. Kakashi's posture shifted immediately, becoming more alert. Something's happened, he murmured. I sense multiple high-level chakra signatures, Kurama reported. Several Jonin, ANBU, and something else. Something familiar but distant. What do you mean, familiar? Before Kurama could answer, the Hokage's door opened and Hiruzen himself emerged, his aged face grim. Kakashi. Your team is here? Yes, Hokage-sama. Good. I'm afraid your D-rank will have to wait. Hiruzen's eyes moved to Naruto, and something in that gaze made the hair on the back of Naruto's neck stand up. We have a situation. The Kazekage and his children have arrived for the chunin exams. Among them is Gaara of the desert. The name meant nothing to Naruto, but Kurama's reaction was immediate and violent. Her presence in his mind surged with recognition and rage. Shikaku, she snarled. That Tanuki bastard is here. In your village. Near you. The possessive fury in her mental voice made Naruto's hands clench into fists. He didn't fully understand the reaction, but he felt it through their bond. Kurama's territorial instincts. Her protective rage at another tailed beast being close to what she considered hers. Who's Gaara? Naruto asked, his voice tight. The jinchuriki of the one-tailed Shikaku, Hiruzen explained. Sunigekyo's ultimate weapon. He's here as part of the chunin exam security detail, though that's largely ceremonial. The real concern is, another jinchuriki, Naruto interrupted, his eyes flashing red. Around him, the air seemed to heat up, and the faint outline of his marks began to glow through his clothing. Another tailed beast. Near me, near Kurama. Kid, calm yourself. No. Naruto's thought was fierce. You said Shikaku? That's another Bijou. Another tailed beast in MY village, near MY Kurama. That's not acceptable. Naruto, listen to me. Kurama's voice turned commanding. Yes, Shikaku is here. Yes, I am displeased by his proximity. But you cannot simply attack the Kazekage's son. That would cause an international incident. Don't care. He's too close to you. The possessiveness in Naruto's tone made everyone in the hallway take a subtle step back. This was the dark side of his bond with Kurama. The obsessive, territorial instincts that came with claiming someone as completely as they'd claimed each other. Naruto, Hiruzen said firmly. You need to control yourself. Gaara is an ally, at least nominally. You cannot threaten him. Then keep him away from me, Naruto said, his voice carrying harmonics that weren't entirely his own, Kurama's influence bleeding through. Because if he gets close, if he threatens what's mine, I won't be responsible for what happens. Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, his grip firm. Breathe. Kurama isn't in danger. She's sealed inside you. Gaara and Shikaku can't threaten that. He's right, Kit, Kurama said, forcing calm through their bond. As much as I despise that insane raccoon, he cannot harm me from within his own jinchuriki. We are safe from each other, but you don't like him being here. No, she admitted. I do not. Shikaku and I have history. Bad history. And the thought of him being near you, near us, triggers instincts I thought I'd moved beyond. What kind of instincts? Territorial ones, Kurama said quietly. You are mine, Naruto. My mate. My chosen. Another Biju's presence near you feels like a challenge, even though I know rationally that Shikaku has no interest in you. The explanation helped Naruto understand his own roiling emotions. They weren't entirely his. They were Kurama's territorial instincts bleeding through their bond, mixing with his own possessive nature to create a volatile combination. Okay, he said finally, the red fading from his eyes. Okay. I'll control it. But Hokage-sama, I'm serious. If this Gaara guy does anything threatening, I understand, Hiruzen said, his tone gentler. And I will ensure he's kept away from you as much as possible. But Naruto, you need to understand, Gaara's situation is very different from yours. He doesn't have the bond with Shikaku that you have with Kurama. The One-Tail's seal is imperfect, and Gaara himself is unstable. Shikaku drives his hosts mad, Kurama explained. The Tanuki enjoys chaos and violence. His jinchuriki rarely survive long, and those who do are typically insane. If this Gaara has lived to Genin age, he must be either extraordinarily strong-willed or completely broken. The information made Naruto's anger shift slightly, mixing with something that might have been pity. A jinchuriki without a bond, trapped with a Biju that wanted to destroy them. It sounded like a nightmare. That could have been us, he thought. If we hadn't found each other. Yes, Kurama agreed softly. That is why I say we are fortunate, Kit. Our bond saved us both from that fate. The moment was interrupted by a burst of killing intent so thick it made the air hard to breathe. It was coming from outside the tower, from somewhere in the village proper, and it carried a signature that made Kurama snarl. Shikaku. Naruto was moving before anyone could stop him, his body flooding with Kurama's chakra as he launched himself out the nearest window. Behind him, he heard Kakashi curse and give chase, but Naruto was already 3 buildings away, moving with speed that shouldn't have been possible for a genin. The killing intent led him to a street market where a crowd had gathered. In the center stood a boy about Naruto's age, with blood-red hair and eyes lined with black. Eyes that held no sanity, only murderous glee. He was holding a local shinobi by the throat, crushing his windpipes slowly while laughing. Blood, the boy Gaara whispered. Mother wants blood. Kid, do not engage. Too late. Naruto's territorial instincts, amplified by Kurama's presence, overwhelmed his reason. Another jinchuriki. Another Biju. In his village. Threatening his people. Too close to his Kurama. Put him down, Naruto said, his voice carrying that harmonic quality that announced Kurama's influence. The marks on his skin blazed to life, glowing crimson patterns that covered his visible skin. Gaara's head turned with mechanical precision. His teal eyes, so similar to and yet so different from Naruto's blue, locked onto the glowing marks, and something shifted in his expression. Recognition, perhaps, or challenge. You, Gaara said, his voice a rasp. You're like me. You have one inside you too. I'm nothing like you, Naruto said, and Kurama's chakra flared around him like a visible cloak. Kurama is my partner. My mate. Not a prisoner I can barely control. Kit, you're revealing too much. Don't care. He needs to understand, you're mine. Not his. Not anyone's. Mine. The possessive declaration seemed to reach through dimensions. Inside his seal, Gaara felt Shikaku's reaction, surprise then dark amusement. Well, Shikaku's voice was manic in Gaara's head. Looks like Kurama finally found someone to play with. And he's marked. Oh, this is delicious. Marked? Gaara repeated aloud, his grip on the shinobi loosening slightly. She's mine, Naruto said, taking a step forward. His eyes were fully red now, slit pupils visible. Kurama belongs to me. And I belong to her. We're bonded. Mated. These marks prove it. He held up his arm, showing the glowing patterns that spiraled up his skin. Gaara stared at the marks, then at Naruto's face, and something like comprehension dawned in his mad eyes. You love it. The demon inside you. You actually love it. Her, Naruto corrected fiercely. Kurama is a her, and yes, I love her. More than anything. She's all that matters. The admission, so naked, so honest, seemed to break something in Gaara's expression. His grip released entirely, the shinobi dropping to the ground and scrambling away. Gaara's hands came up to clutch his head, his face twisting in what looked like pain. He loves the nine tails, Shikaku was laughing manically. Oh, this is too good. Hey kid, you seeing this? This is what you could have had if you weren't such a boring host. Shut up, Gaara hissed. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Naruto watched warily, Kurama's chakra still flooding his system. He could feel her attention focused entirely on the scene, her presence a protective weight in his mind. The boy is breaking, she observed. Shikaku is tormenting him with our bond, using it as a weapon against his host's isolation. Should I help him? Why would you? Kurama's voice was genuinely curious. He is not yours to protect. He is Shikaku's problem, but he's like me. A jinchuriki. If we hadn't found each other, I could be like him right now. The compassion in Naruto's thought made Kurama's ancient heart ache. Even in the grip of territorial fury, even while defending his claim on her, her kid could still feel empathy for another's suffering. This is why you are mine, she thought softly. This capacity for compassion even in the face of threat. Very well, Kit. If you wish to help him, I will not stop you. Gaara, Naruto said, his voice gentler now. Listen to me. The bijou inside you, Shikaku, he doesn't have to be your enemy. It doesn't have to be like this. You don't understand. Gaara's voice was broken, raw. Mother only loves me when I kill. The demon only wants blood. I'm alone. Always alone. You don't have to be. Naruto took another step forward, ignoring the warning looks from Kakashi, who had just arrived with backup. I was alone too. For 6 years I had no one. But then I found Kurama. I talked to her. I chose to see her as more than a demon. And she chose to see me as more than a vessel. Chose? Gaara's laugh was bitter. Demons don't choose. They destroy. Kurama chose me, Naruto said firmly. She marked me as hers. I marked her as mine. We're bonded now, permanently. Because we chose each other. Show him, Kurama said suddenly. Show him what our bond looks like. Naruto didn't question it. He closed his eyes and pulled more deeply on their connection, and suddenly, Gaara gasped. Even Shikaku went silent. Because for just a moment, they could feel it, the bond between Naruto and Kurama. Not hostile, not antagonistic, but warm. Protective. Possessive, yes, but in a way that felt like shelter rather than prison. Like being claimed meant being cherished. Impossible, Shikaku whispered, and for once his voice held no mockery. That's an actual bond. A real one. How? It's possible, Naruto said, though he was responding to both Shikaku and Gaara. It takes time. It takes trust. But it's possible to be more than just prisoner and demon. We can be partners. Mates. Family. The word family seemed to hit Gaara like a physical blow. His legs gave out, and he collapsed to his knees, sand automatically rising to catch him. When he looked up at Naruto, his eyes held something other than madness, confusion, longing, and desperate hope. How? He whispered. How did you do it? I talked to her, Naruto said simply. Every night. For years. I chose to see her as a person, not a demon. And eventually, she chose to see me the same way. More than that, Kurama added through their bond. He chose to need me. To claim me. To make me the center of his world. And I chose to let him. Naruto smiled at that, and conveyed it to Gaara. She says I made her the center of my world. And she let me. The center of your world, Gaara repeated slowly, as if testing the words. Then, to everyone's shock, tears began streaming down his face, the first tears he'd shed in years. I want that. I want to not be alone anymore. Well, this is awkward, Shikaka said, but his tone had lost its manic edge. Kid, you crying? Seriously? We had a whole thing going, you being the monster, me being the chaos demon. Now you wanna go soft? I'm tired, Gaara said aloud, apparently uncaring who heard his conversation with the bijou inside him. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of the killing. I want what he has. What he has is insane, Shikaka pointed out. The Nine Tails and that kid are obsessed with each other. Like, unhealthily obsessed. They're basically codependent to a psychotic degree. I heard that, Kurama growled through Naruto, her voice projecting through his body. And you're one to talk about psychotic, you insane tanuki. Kurama! Shikaka's voice was delighted. Oh man, I can actually hear you. This is great. Hey, so how does it feel being domesticated by a 12-year-old? That working out for you? I am not domesticated, Kurama's voice turned dangerous. I am bonded. Mated. Claimed. By choice. There is a difference. Sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Despite the mocking words, there was something wistful in Shikaka's tone. Must be nice, though. Having someone who actually wants you around. The confession, inadvertent as it was, hung in the air. Shikaka wanted what Kurama had. And Gaara wanted what Naruto had. Two pairs, separated by vastly different relationships with their bijou, staring at each other across a crowded street in Konoha. I can't promise it'll work for you, Naruto said honestly. Kurama and we're weird, even by jinchuriki standards. But maybe you could try. Try talking to Shikaka. Try seeing him as more than just the demon inside you. And what if he refuses? Gaara asked. What if he only wants chaos? Hey, Shikaka interrupted. I'm right here, you know. And for the record, I'm not completely against the idea. I mean, chaos is fun and all. But even I get bored of the whole drive my host insane routine after a few years. Gaara's eyes widened. It was the first time Shikaka had ever said anything that wasn't explicitly violent or destructive. You'd be willing to try? Don't get all mushy on me, Shikaka said quickly. I'm just saying, if the Nine Tails can lower herself to bonding with a human, maybe I can tolerate my vessel actually talking to me like I'm more than a chakra battery. No promises though, it wasn't much. It wasn't the instant bond that Naruto and Kurama shared. But it was a start. Naruto felt Kurama's approval through their connection. Well handled, kid. You may have just prevented a future catastrophe. Gaara unchecked would have eventually become a serious threat. I just didn't want him to suffer like I would have suffered without you, Naruto thought back. I know. Your compassion is one of your best qualities. Even if it occasionally conflicts with your possessive instincts. Speaking of which, Naruto's attention turned to Gaara. We're not friends. I want to make that clear. Kurama is mine, and I don't share. But, if you're really trying to bond with Shikaku, I can give you advice. Sometimes. The territorial warning was clear. Naruto's compassion only extended so far. Kurama was his, the bond was his, and he would not tolerate any threat to that. Gaara nodded, understanding the boundary. Thank you? That's more than anyone else has offered. The Sunigakure Jonin finally arrived, led by a man whose face was half covered by a face mask, Baki, the Gaara's sensei. His eyes widened at the scene, his volatile student on his knees crying, while a Konoha genin stood over him with glowing marks and red eyes. "What happened here?" Baki demanded. "A conversation," Kakashi said smoothly, stepping forward. "Nothing more. Though I think our young Jinchuriki needs some supervision." Both of them. Baki looked between Gaara and Naruto, seeing something in both their expressions that made him reassess the situation. "Agreed. Gaara, we're returning to our quarters." Now, as Gaara stood and began to leave, he glanced back at Naruto one more time. "Your marks. They're beautiful." Naruto's hand automatically went to his arm, where the patterns had started to fade back to invisibility. "They're Kurama's. She claimed me. I wish." Gaara started, then stopped. "Never mind." But Naruto understood. Gaara wished he could be claimed. Wished he could have visible proof that someone, even a demon, chose him. Wanted him. Loved him. "Maybe he will," Kurama said quietly. "Maybe, with time, Shikaku will mark him too. The Tanuki is insane, but he's not incapable of attachment. It will just take work. Like it took work for us. We were easier," Kurama admitted. "We found each other early, before the hatred could calcify. And we were both so desperately lonely that we clung to each other like drowning swimmers to driftwood." Gaara's situation is harder, but not impossible. As the Suna contingent left, Kakashi turned to Naruto with an expression that was equal parts exasperated and impressed. "That was the most reckless and successful diplomatic intervention I've ever witnessed," he said. "You potentially just stabilized Tsunageki's Jinchuriki with a 5-minute conversation." "I wasn't trying to be diplomatic," Naruto said. "I was just territorial at first. Then I realized he's alone like I would have been alone. And I couldn't just walk away from that. Even though helping him potentially creates competition for Kurama's attention?" "Kurama doesn't want Gaara's attention," Naruto said firmly. "She's mine. He's got his own Bijou to bond with. There's no competition." The possessiveness was still there, absolute and unwavering. But it had been balanced by compassion, creating something more complex than simple jealousy. "You continue to surprise me, Kit," Kurama said warmly. "To balance possessiveness with compassion, that is no easy feat. I learned from you," Naruto thought back. "You're possessive as hell about me, but you still push me to help him." "Because I trust you," Kurama said simply. "I know you are mine, completely and utterly. Helping another Jinchuriki does not threaten that. Nothing threatens that. Nothing ever will," Naruto agreed. That night, in the sealed space, they discussed the encounter in more detail. "Shikaku's an asshole," Naruto said bluntly, lying on his back in the water while Kurama's massive form curled around the bars nearby. "Even for a Bijou, he's insane," Kurama corrected. "Born from the most unstable aspects of the Ten Tails chakra. I've known him for millennia, and he's always been chaotic. But," she paused, "he's also always been lonely, more than the rest of us, I think. Because his nature makes it hard for anyone to tolerate his presence long enough to form bonds." "You've formed bonds with the other Bijou?" "Of a sort. We're siblings, in a way, all born from the same source, separated by the sage. We've fought, allied, separated, and reunited countless times over the centuries. It's complicated. But you don't miss them?" Kurama was quiet for a long moment. "Sometimes. There are aspects of my old existence I remember fondly. But Naruto," her voice softened, "I would not trade what we have for all the freedom and companionship of my past. You are worth more to me than millennia of wandering." Naruto rolled over, pressing his face against the bars. "I love you. I know I've said it before, but I need to say it again. I love you so much it scares me sometimes, as I love you, Kit." Kurama pressed her muzzle against the bars, as close to him as the seal would allow. "My Naruto. My mate. Mine, yours," he agreed. "Always yours." They fell silent, content in each other's presence, the encounter with Gaara already fading to background noise. What mattered was this: the two of them, bound by marks and choice and obsessive devotion. The territorial instincts that had surged at Shikaku's presence had settled now, soothed by the confirmation that Kurama was still his, he was still hers, and nothing had changed. In a village full of people, surrounded by potential friends and allies, Naruto's world remained singular: Kurama. And in a seal that had once been a prison, Kurama's world was equally focused, Naruto. Two souls, bound by territorial instincts and possessive love. The rest of the world could adapt or be left behind. They had each other, and that was enough. The chunin exams began 3 weeks after the encounter with Gaara, and Naruto approached them with singular focus, become stronger to better protect what was his. Team 7 had been entered by Kakashi despite their inexperience, or perhaps because of it. The Jonin seemed to believe that throwing them into the deep end would accelerate their growth. Naruto didn't care about the reasoning. He only cared that the exams represented an opportunity to prove himself. To prove ourselves, Kurama corrected through their bond as Naruto stood outside the academy building where the first exam would be held. We are a unit, Kit. Your success is our success. Always we, Naruto thought warmly. I like that. As do I. He could feel her satisfaction through their connection. Now focus. The first exam is intelligence gathering disguised as a written test. You will need to cheat without being caught. You know what the test is. I've lived through dozens of chunin exams, Kit. The format rarely changes. Trust me and follow my guidance. The first exam proceeded exactly as Kurama predicted. Naruto sat at his assigned desk, the written test before him filled with questions he had no hope of answering through legitimate means. But with Kurama's millennium of experience, and her ability to sense chakra signatures throughout the room, they identified the proctor's blind spots and the planted chunin whose tests they could copy from. Third row, 4 seats ahead, Kurama directed. That one's a plant. His chakra signature is too controlled for a genuine examinee. Naruto's eyes flicked to the indicated target, and through their bond, Kurama enhanced his vision, a trick they'd been practicing. His eyes briefly flashed red, the markings on his skin pulsing once beneath his clothing, and suddenly he could see the answers on the distant paper as clearly as if they were in front of him. They passed easily, along with most of Team 7. The second exam in the Forest of Death should have been similarly straightforward. Collect both scrolls and reach the tower in 5 days. Simple survival and combat skills. But nothing was ever simple when other people got involved. The Forest of Death Day 2. Team 7 had acquired their second scroll within the first day through a combination of Sasuke's tactical thinking, Sakura's trap detection, and Naruto's overwhelming combat ability when channeling Kurama's chakra. They were making good time toward the tower when the world went wrong. It started with a gust of wind that felt malicious. Kit. Kurama's voice was sharp in his mind. Someone powerful is approaching. Very powerful. And their chakra, it feels wrong. Twisted. Naruto signaled his team to stop, his hand automatically going to his kunai pouch. Someone's coming. Someone strong. How do you know? Sakura started, but then she felt it too. A presence that made the air thick and hard to breathe. Killing intent rolled over them like a physical wave, and both she and Sasuke froze. Naruto didn't freeze. Instead, he moved forward, placing himself between his teammates and the source of the malice. Kurama's chakra automatically flooded his system, the marks on his skin blazing to life as his eyes shifted red. Protective instincts, Kurama observed. Good Kit. Though these two are not yours the way I am yours, they're my teammates. Under my protection while we're a team. Possessive even of those you don't particularly like. Interesting. The presence materialized from the trees. A tall, pale figure with long black hair, golden eyes with slit pupils, and a smile that promised terrible things. His tongue, unnaturally long, slid across his lips as he examined Team 7 with predatory interest. My, the figure said, his voice a serpentine hiss. What interesting prey I've found. The last Uchiha, a kunoichi with reasonable chakra control, and his eyes locked on Naruto, and his smile widened impossibly. And the nine-tails jinchuriki. How delicious. Orochimaru, Kurama snarled, her rage exploding through their bond with such force that Naruto staggered. That snake bastard. Kit, you need to run? Right now. He's one of the sannin, you're not ready to face him. But he's looking at me like he wants to take you. He does. Kurama's voice was grim. Orochimaru has always been interested in acquiring bijou for his experiments. If he's here, if he's looking at you like that, he's planning something terrible. The protective rage that surged through Naruto was volcanic. His chakra exploded outward, the red cloak visible now, his markings glowing so brightly they were visible through his clothing. His teeth elongated slightly, nails becoming more claw-like, and his voice dropped into that harmonic register that announced Kurama's direct influence. Stay away from her. Orochimaru's eyebrows rose. Her? Oh, this is fascinating. You're bonded with the Nine Tails. Truly bonded. I can see the claim marks even through your clothes. His golden eyes gleamed with scientific interest. I'd heard rumors that the Fourth Seal had unexpected results. But this exceeds my wildest expectations. I said stay away from her. Naruto's voice was barely human now, Kurama's rage mixing with his possessive fury to create something primal and dangerous. Kid, control yourself. No. He wants to take you. To experiment on you. I can see it in his eyes. He wants what's mine. Orochimaru laughed, the sound making even the trees seem to recoil. Such possessiveness. Such delicious devotion. Tell me, boy, would you die for the demon inside you? In a heartbeat, Naruto said without hesitation. And I'd take you with me. Naruto, what are you doing? Sakura's voice was shrill with fear. We need to run, but Naruto couldn't run. Every instinct in his body, every fiber of his being amplified by his bond with Kurama, screamed at him to protect, to defend, to destroy any threat to what was his. Orochimaru moved. It was faster than anything Naruto had experienced. One moment the sannin was 20 feet away. The next, his hand was extending toward Naruto's stomach, toward the seal, toward Kurama. Naruto's response was instinctive and absolute. He didn't try to dodge. Instead, he channeled more of Kurama's chakra than ever before, pushing past barriers they'd carefully maintained, pulling on her power with desperate need. Kit, if you pull that much, I don't care. He's threatening you. The chakra that erupted from Naruto was massive, forming not just a cloak but a partial physical manifestation, a skeletal outline of Kurama's form, made of pure red chakra, surrounding Naruto's body like armor. It was the first tail transformation, the beginning of true Bijou integration, and it hurt. The chakra burned as it forced its way through his chakra pathways, searing flesh and pushing his body beyond its limits. Naruto screamed, but the scream turned into a roar that echoed through the forest with inhuman resonance. Mine, the roar declared in a voice that was both Naruto and Kurama speaking in perfect unison. Kurama is mine. You cannot have her. Orochimaru's hand met the chakra construct and was actually pushed back. The sannin's eyes widened with genuine surprise and delight. Magnificent! You've achieved partial transformation already? At 12 years old? The bond between you must be extraordinary. Inside the seal space, Kurama was both horrified and amazed. Naruto had pulled on enough of her chakra to manifest her physical form around himself, something that typically required years of training or life-threatening circumstances. The fact that he'd done it consciously, driven purely by the need to protect her, spoke to the depth of their connection. But it was also destroying his body. Kit, you must stop, she urged desperately. This much chakra, your body can't handle it. You're burning from the inside. Don't care. Have to protect you. You cannot protect me if you die. The logic penetrated his rage-fogged mind. Naruto's focus wavered, and Orochimaru took advantage immediately. His hand shot forward again, this time with a snake extending from his sleeve, fangs bared and aimed at Naruto's neck. Sasuke moved. The Uchiha, frozen until now by the overwhelming killing intent, finally broke through his fear. He tackled Naruto from the side, pushing them both out of the snake's path. The bite meant for Naruto caught Sasuke instead, sinking into his neck with vicious precision. Sasuke! Sakura screamed. Orochimaru smiled as his snake retracted. A substitution. How noble. Very well, the Uchiha will bear my gift instead. As for you, Jinchuriki. His eyes returned to Naruto, who was struggling to maintain the chakra construct as pain racked his body. I'll be watching your development with great interest. You and your precious Kurama. The way he said her name, possessive, claiming, wrong, made Naruto's vision go white with rage. I'll kill you! But Orochimaru was already gone, vanishing as suddenly as he'd appeared. The threat removed, Naruto's concentration shattered. The chakra construct dissolved, and he collapsed, his body smoking from the damage the Biju chakra had inflicted on his unprepared system. Kit! Kurama's voice was panicked. Kit, stay conscious. Your body needs time to heal. Let my chakra work, slowly this time. Naruto's consciousness was fragmenting, the world becoming fuzzy around the edges. His last clear thought before darkness claimed him was, "Did I protect you? Yes, you foolish Kit. You protected me. Now let me protect you." Recovery Day 3. Naruto woke in a cave, his body wrapped in bandages that were already soaking through with blood and something else. Some kind of healing salve that smelled medicinal. His first thought was, "Kurama? I'm here, Kit. Always here." Her presence in his mind was warm, reassuring, and tinged with worry. "Your body is healing, but slowly. You pushed too hard. Worth it. He didn't touch you, you magnificent idiot." Despite the insult, her mental voice was thick with emotion. "You nearly destroyed yourself to protect me. Do you understand how that makes me feel? Loved? Yes." The admission was soft. Loved. Cherished. And utterly terrified. "Naruto, you cannot sacrifice yourself for me. I am a being of chakra. I will reform eventually even if my current form is destroyed. But you are mortal. Fragile. If you die, there is no coming back. Rather die than let anyone hurt you." I know you would, Kit. That's what terrifies me." Naruto tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Every nerve in his body screamed protest, and he fell back with a groan. "Don't move, idiot." Sakura's voice came from nearby. She was sitting against the cave wall, looking exhausted and worried. "You've been unconscious for almost a full day, your body is healing at an impossible rate, but you still need rest." "Sasuke?" Naruto managed to croak out. Sakura's expression darkened. "He's alive. But that thing Orochimaru did to him, there's a mark on his neck. Some kind of curse seal. He's been unconscious too, but his condition is worse. The seal keeps flaring, causing him pain. The curse seal of heaven," Kurama identified. "Orochimaru's speciality. It grants power but at a terrible cost. The Uchiha will struggle with it. He took it from me," Naruto thought. "The bite was meant for me, yes. He protected you when you were vulnerable. That deserves acknowledgement." Naruto processed this, the implications uncomfortable. Sasuke had saved him. The proud Uchiha who barely tolerated him had thrown himself into danger to protect Naruto from a bite that had been aimed at the seal. "At Kurama. He saved Kurama," Naruto said aloud, his voice rough. "Orochimaru was going for my seal." Sasuke stopped him. Sakura blinked in surprise. "You think that's why? Orochimaru was targeting the Nine-Tails specifically?" "He said he wanted her," Naruto confirmed. "Said he'd been interested in Biju for his experiments. He wanted to take Kurama from me." The possessive fury started to build again, but Kurama's presence immediately flooded their bond with soothing calm. "Easy, Kit. The threat is gone. I am still here, still yours. Focus on healing." "But he knows about us. He knows about the bond. He'll come back. Let him." Kurama's voice turned hard. "By the time he tries again, we will be ready. We will show him what happens to those who threaten what's ours." The unified determination between them, the shared possessiveness, the mutual protection, was absolute. They would get stronger. They would ensure no one could ever threaten their bond again. "Naruto." Sakura's voice was hesitant. "That thing you did. That red chakra with the shape of a fox around you. That was the Nine-Tails power?" "That was Kurama," Naruto corrected automatically. "And yeah, I pulled on more of her power than I should have. It hurt, but it was worth it to keep Orochimaru away from her." "You talk about her like she's a person." "She is a person," Naruto said firmly, despite his exhaustion. "She's Kurama. She's mine. And I'm hers. That's all that matters." Sakura stared at him, and Naruto could see the wheels turning in her head. She was trying to reconcile the demon of village legend with the entity that Naruto spoke of with such devotion. Does she talk to you?" "All the time. Right now, actually. She's telling me I'm an idiot for nearly killing myself. Naruto managed a weak smile. She's not wrong. At least you acknowledge it, Kurama said dryly. She just called me an idiot again, Naruto relayed, his smile widening slightly. Sakura looked disturbed and confused in equal measure, but before she could respond, Sasuke groaned from his position against the opposite wall. The curse mark on his neck was visible, black flame-like patterns spreading from the bite site. Sasuke! Sakura immediately moved to his side. The Uchiha's eyes opened, and for a moment, they were completely black. Then he blinked, and they returned to normal. But something about them was different. Harder. Colder. Orochimaru, Sasuke said, his voice rough. Where, gone, Sakura said. He left after he bit you. Sasuke's hand went to his neck, feeling the mark there. His expression twisted with a mixture of pain, and something that might have been dark satisfaction. Power, he murmured. I can feel it. This mark, it's giving me power. The curse seal is seductive, Kurama warned. It offers strength but corrupts the user. The Uchiha is in danger. Should I warn him? Would he listen? Probably not, Naruto admitted. Sasuke was obsessed with power, with revenge against his brother. A source of strength, even a corrupting one, would be tempting. Sasuke, Naruto called out, his voice still weak but determined. That mark, it's dangerous. Orochimaru doesn't give gifts. Whatever power it offers, there's a price. Sasuke's eyes cut to him, and there was something almost hostile in that gaze. You would know about dangerous power, wouldn't you? You have a demon sealed inside you. She's not a demon, Naruto corrected automatically, even though every word was an effort. And yeah, I know about power with a price. But Kurama is mine by choice. We're partners. That mark, that's Orochimaru's power. His tool to control you. I won't be controlled, Sasuke said flatly. I'll use the power, but I'll remain myself. Unlike you, I'm not obsessed with the source of my power. The jab hit harder than Naruto expected. He's calling me obsessed. With you. You are obsessed with me, Kurama pointed out gently. As I am with you. But obsession born from choice and love is different from corruption forced by a seal. The Uchiha doesn't understand the distinction. Should I try to explain? No. Let him discover the difference himself. You have enough to worry about without taking on his burdens. Naruto wanted to argue, wanted to make Sasuke understand, but exhaustion was pulling at him. His body needed more rest to heal from the damage he'd inflicted pushing Kurama's chakra too far. Fine, he said to Sasuke. But when that mark starts controlling you instead of the other way around, don't say I didn't warn you. He closed his eyes, focusing inward to where Kurama waited in the sealed space. Can we rest together? I want to see you properly. Of course, Kit. Come to me. Naruto's consciousness slipped into the sealed space, leaving his body to recover in the physical world. Here, in this space between spaces, he found Kurama curled as close to the bars as possible, her massive form radiating warmth and concern. Kit. Her voice was soft. You terrified me today, sorry. Naruto approached the bars, pressing himself against them despite the sting of sealing chakra. But I'd do it again. Anything to protect you, I know. That's what terrifies me. Kurama's muzzle pressed against the bars, as close to him as she could get. You manifest my chakra form at 12 years old, something that should be impossible. You burn your body from the inside out. All to defend me from a threat I could have weathered. He was going to take you, Naruto said simply. Going to experiment on you. I saw it in his eyes. He wanted to cut you open and see how you work. I couldn't. I can't. The thought of anyone hurting you. His voice broke, and suddenly he was crying. All the terror and rage and desperate need came pouring out. You're mine, he sobbed. Mine, Kurama. And I'm yours. And no one, gets to threaten that. Not Orochimaru, not anyone. Oh, Kit. Kurama's voice was achingly tender. My precious, foolish Kit. Come here. As close as you can. Naruto pressed harder against the bars, and Kurama did the same from her side. The sealing chakra burned them both, but neither cared. They needed this contact, needed the reassurance of proximity. I love you, Naruto whispered. I love you so much it feels like it's going to tear me apart. As I love you, Kurama responded. More than freedom. More than my old existence. More than anything. You are my world, Naruto. My entire world. They stayed like that, as close as the seal would allow, while Naruto's body healed in the physical world. The threat of Orochimaru lingered in their minds. The knowledge that someone powerful now knew about their bond and wanted to exploit it. But they would face it together. They would get stronger together. They would protect each other with a ferocity that would make the world tremble, because they were bonded. Mated. Claimed. Nothing would separate them. Not seals, not distance, not death itself. They were two souls bound by obsession and love, and their bond was unbreakable. Day 5. The Tower. Team 7 arrived at the tower on the final day, battered and exhausted but victorious. Sasuke's curse mark had been suppressed with a seal applied by Kakashi, who appeared at the finish line looking genuinely worried about his students. You encountered Orochimaru, Kakashi said flatly, his visible eye grave. The Hokage will need to be informed immediately. He wanted Kurama, Naruto said, his voice still rough from his ordeal. The marks on his skin were more visible now, having been brought to the surface by the massive chakra expenditure. They glowed faintly even without active chakra use. He said he wanted to study Bijou. That he was interested in our bond. Kakashi's expression darkened. Of course he was. Orochimaru has always been interested in forbidden knowledge. A true bond between Jinchuriki and Bijou would be irresistible to him. He's not getting her, Naruto said flatly. I don't care if he's a sannin. He's not taking Kurama from me. I know, Naruto. Kakashi's hand landed on his shoulder, the grip warm and reassuring. And we'll make sure he doesn't. But you need to understand, Orochimaru is dangerous. What you did, manifesting that chakra construct, that saved your life. But it also showed him exactly how powerful your bond is. He'll be more interested now, not less. The Jonin is correct, Kurama said. We've painted a target on ourselves. But Kit, I do not regret it. Better a known threat we can prepare for than an ambush we don't see coming. Yeah. And maybe it's good that people know. That they understand we're not just a Jinchuriki and a Bijou. We're partners. A unit. Something new. Revolutionary, Kurama agreed. And revolution always draws both allies and enemies. The preliminary rounds of the chunin exams would begin in a month, giving participants time to recover and train. For Naruto, it was time he intended to use, becoming strong enough that no one, not Orochimaru, not anyone, could ever threaten what was his. That night, safe in his apartment, Naruto spent hours in the sealed space with Kurama, just being together. They talked about training, about the curse mark on Sasuke, about the lingering threat of Orochimaru, but mostly, they just enjoyed each other's presence. The reassurance that despite everything, despite the danger and the pain, they were still together. Still bonded. Still theirs. We're going to get stronger, Naruto said, his determination absolute. Strong enough that no one can ever threaten us again. Yes, Kurama agreed. Together, we will become unstoppable. Let the sannin come. Let anyone who threatens our bond come. They will learn what it means to challenge those who are truly mated. The promise hung in the air, a vow of violence to any who would dare separate them. Two souls, bound by love and obsession. The serpent had intruded into their world. He would regret it.